Welcome back to Wolf Camp. We've been talking about lots of animals, but let's move towards some plants. One of the key elements in the forest for wildlife are the trees, and so managing for your trees. Let's talk first about what's going on in that tree. If you'll look over here at this chart, the science, the study of the tree's aging is referred to as dendrochronology. Dendro means tree. Chronology is that recording of age. So what we need to do is understand what's going on inside the tree. Well, here's a picture of what you would get in the cross-section of a tree. The only area that is still alive and actively moving water and nutrients is the cambium. It's just a few cell layers thick. On the inside of that is what moves your water, okay? So that is your xylem. And what's on the outside of that is what moves the sugars back down. That's the phloem. And every time that new phloem comes back down that stem, it is going to go to the lowest point, so the smallest branches, and then in the winter actually move it into the root system so that it can survive. Well, each time that happens, that phloem, the old phloem, not the new phloem, but the old phloem, hardens off and forms this ring, which is the outside bark. So you can actually count the rings on the inside of a tree, showing me how much did it grow during the spring and when did it lay down its bark over the summer, and that's how much it grew that 1 year. So you can count each of those rings and determine how old it is. So look what happened to this tree when it was very young. It had lots of water. It was growing really, really well and got nice and thick, lots of big rings. But as it progresses, you can see that it got a little drier. All right, so those rings got closer and closer together. And you can see where wounds have happened. Something hit it, a branch broke, there's some sort of deformity in that circle. It could have even been a fire that happened. Well, realize also as that bark lays down, the tree gets thicker and thicker and thicker. The trunk actually gets wider, but it doesn't move up the tree. The new growth at the top is still happening. But when you look at something like this, and there's lots of stories on the internet that tells you that this was a young man who parked his bike before he went off to war. Well, the truth behind that is it was just a young boy who parked his bike and forgot where he left it. But anything touching that tree, as the bark lays down, it just envelops it. It covers it up completely, to the point that that bicycle over time would be on the inside of that tree. You don't believe it? Hang yourself at a bird feeder. Wait a few years. Did the bird feeder go higher up in the tree? Nope, it's still at the same height. But now there's additional bark around it. So in this dendrochronology, we can look all about what's going on inside that tree and determine what's happened to it over time. If it's been cut down like this, that's really easy. But while it's still living, to determine how old it is, you can actually use a coring tool, which has a small drill bit and a little tray in it. And so you will screw it into the tree, pull it out, and look at that tray. And now you can count each of those individual rings. You know what's kind of cool about that? The oldest living tree is a bristlecone pine out west, and the last time they cored it in 2012, it was over 5,000 years old. How would you like to count all those individual rings? Well, we've got a sample right here, and this is commonly referred to as a tree cookie because it's cut into a cookie shape, right? Well, this tree started in 1800. None of you were around, right? Nor was I. But in 1800, this tree was in the ground and started to grow. And you can count each of these rings, seeing how old it gets. But in the life of this tree, from 1800 to when it was cut down in 1980, look at all the things that this tree has seen. It's seen the United States grow. It's seen all the wars that went on and all the changes. Wouldn't that have been cool if you were around to see that? But this tree experienced all those things, in addition to all the weather conditions it went through. So, for fun, if you guys want to create an activity, we'd like to see your tree of your life. Can you make it? You could make it on a piece of paper. You can make it out of styrofoam. Be as creative as you want to, but start in the middle with the day that you were born and do each of your rings to the age you are today. And if you want to fill in some of the cool things that happened to you, you've seen Amy already on some of the Science Friday things. She's the program assistant here. This was her life, and it showed when she moved from place to place, when she started high school, when she got her driver's license. Those are some of the cool things that you could put on your tree cookie. So be creative, get one made, and send them to us. We want to see what you have experienced in your tree of life.